Hey, so y'all ready for chapter two? I think it's about that time. If y'all recall, in the previous chapter, the Stone Monkey King became the Handsome Monkey King. And after traveling in the human world for, I think he said close to 30 years? No, close to like 10 years. They finally met a sage. And they were given a new name. So they went from the Stone Monkey to the Stone Monkey King to outlawing the word stone, changing the name to the Handsome Monkey King. Then getting depressed and sad because they realized that there's got to be more to life than just having a good time. Because eventually you're going to get snatched up by the king of hell. And then what you going to do? So they decided to travel and see what else the world had to offer. Journey to the West, Chapter 2. He becomes aware of the wonderful truth of enlightenment. By killing the demon, he realizes his spirit nature. The story goes on to tell how, after being given a name, the Handsome Monkey King jumped for joy and bowed to Subhuti to express his thanks. The patriarch then ordered the others to take Sun Wukong out through the double doors and teach him how to sprinkle and sweep the floor, answer orders, and deport himself properly. All the immortals went out in obedience to this command. When Sun Wukong was outside the doors, he bowed to all his spiritual elder brothers and laid out his bed on the veranda. The next morning, and every following day, he studied language and deportment under his spiritual elder brothers, expounded the scriptures, discussed the way, practiced calligraphy, and burnt incense. When he had any spare time, he would sweep the grounds, dig the vegetable patch, grow flowers, tend trees, look for kindling, light the fire, carry water, and fetch beans. Everything he needed was provided. Thus, 6 or 7 years slipped by in the cave without him even noticing. One day, the patriarch took his seat on the dais, called all the immortals together, and began to explain the way. Heavenly flowers fell in profusion, while golden lotuses burst forth from the earth. Brilliantly, he expounded the doctrine of the three vehicles, setting forth 10,000 dharmas and all their details. As he slowly waved his whisk, jewels fell from his mouth. echoing like thunder and shaking the 9 heavens. Now preaching the way. Now teaching meditation. He showed that the 3 beliefs are basically the same. In explaining a single word, he brought one back to the truth and taught the secrets of avoiding birth and understanding one's nature. As Monkey sat at the side listening to the exposition, he was so delighted that he tugged at his ear, scratched his cheek, and smiled. He could not help waving his hands and stamping. When the patriarch noticed this, he said to Monkey, "Why are you all leaping around like a madman in class instead of listening to the lesson?" Your disciple is listening to the exposition with all his attention," Monkey replied, "but your marvelous words made me so happy that I started jumping around without realizing what I was doing. Please, forgive me." To this, the patriarch replied, "If you really understand my marvelous words, then answer this question. How long have you been with us in this cave?" "Your disciple was born stupid," Monkey replied. "So I have no idea how long I've been here. All I know is that whenever the fire in the stove goes out, I go to the other side of the mountain to collect firewood. And there I see a hill covered with fine peach trees. I've had 7 good eats off the peaches there. That hill is called Tender Peach Hill. If you've eaten there 7 times, you must have been here 7 years. So, what sort of way do you want to learn from me?" "Well, that depends what you teach, Matcher. As long as there's a whiff of the way in it, your disciple will learn it." "There are 360 side entrances to the way, and they all lead to a true result," the patriarch said. "Which branch would you like to study?" "I will do whatever you think is best, Master," replied Monkey. "What about teaching you the way of magic arts?" "What does the way of magic arts mean?" "Magic arts," the patriarch replied, "include summoning immortals, using the magic sandboard, and divining by milfoil. With them, one can learn how to bring on good fortune and avert disaster." "Can you become immortal this way?" asked Monkey. "No, certainly not," replied the patriarch. "Then I shan't learn it." "Shall I teach you the way of sects?" the patriarch asked. "What are the principles of the sect?" said Monkey. "Within the branch of the sect, there are Confucianism, Buddhism, Taoism, the study of the negative and positive, Mohism, medicine, reading scriptures, and chanting the name of a Buddha. You can also summon immortals and sages with this branch." "Can you attain immortality that way?" asked Monkey. "To try and attain immortality that way," the patriarch replied, "is like putting a pillar in the wall." "Master," Monkey said, "I'm a simple chap, and I can't understand your technical jargon. What do you mean by putting a pillar in the wall?" When a man builds a house and wants to make it strong, he puts a pillar in the wall. But when the day comes for his mansion to collapse, the pillar is bound to rot. From what you say, Monkey observed, it's not eternal. No shan't learn it. Shall I teach you the way of silence? The patriarch then asked. What true result can be got from silence? Said Monkey. It involves abstaining from grain, preserving one's essence, silence, inaction, meditation, abstaining from speech, eating vegetarian food, performing certain exercises when asleep or standing up, going into trances, and being walled up in total isolation. Is this a way of becoming immortal? Monkey asked. It's like building the top of a kiln with sun-dried bricks, the patriarch replied. You do go on, master, said Sun Wukong. I've already told you that I can't understand your technical jargon. What does building the top of a kiln with sun-dried bricks mean? If you build the top of a kiln with sun-dried bricks, they may make it look all right, but if they have not been hardened with fire and water, then they will crumble away in the first heavy rainstorm. There's nothing eternal about that either, then, replied Monkey. I shall not learn it. Shall I teach you the way of action, then? The patriarch asked. What's that like? Monkey asked. It involves acting, doing, extracting the negative and building up the positive, drawing the bow, loading the crossbow, rubbing the navel to make the subtle humors flow, refining elixirs according to formulae, lighting fires under cauldrons, consuming red lead, purifying autumn stone, and drinking of woman's milk. Can doing things like that make me live forever? Monkey asked. To try and attain immortality that way is like lifting the moon out of water. What does lifting the moon out of water mean? The moon is in the sky, the patriarch replied, and only its reflection is in the water. Although you can see it there, you will try in vain and lift it out. I shall not learn it then, exclaimed Monkey. When the patriarch heard this, he gasped and climbed down from his dais, pointing at Sun Wukong with his cane. He said, you won't study this and you won't study that, so what do you want, you monkey? He went up to Monkey and he bopped him on the head 3 times. Then went inside with his hands behind his back and shut the main door, abandoning them all. The class was shocked, and they all blamed Sun Wukong. You cheeky ape! You've no idea how to behave. The master was teaching you the way, so why did you have to argue with him instead of learning from him? Now you've offended him. We don't know when he'll come out again. They were all very angry with him, and regarded him with loathing and contempt. But Sun Wukong was not bothered in the least, and his face was covered in smiles. The Monkey King had understood the riddle and had the answer hidden away in his mind. So he did not argue with the others, but bored all without a word. When the patriarch bopped him 3 times, he had been telling him to pay attention to the third watch. And when he went inside with his hands behind his back and shut the main door, he had told the Monkey King to go in through the back and be taught the way in secret. The delighted Sun Wukong spent the rest of that day with the others in front of the 3-star cave, looking at the sky and impatient for night to come. At dusk, he went to bed like all the others, pretended to close his eyes, controlled his breathing, and calmed himself down. Nobody beats the watches or calls out the hour in the mountains, so he had no way of knowing the time except by regulating the breath going in and out of his nose. When he reckoned that it was about the 3rd watch, he got up very quietly, dressed, and slipped out through the front door, away from the others. When he was outside, he looked up and saw the moon was bright and clear and cold. The vast space of the 8 points was free from dust. Deep in the trees, birds slept hidden, while the water flowed from the spring. Fireflies scattered their lights, and a line of geese was stretched across the clouds. It was exactly the 3rd watch. The right time to ask about the way. Watch the Monkey King as he follows the old path to the back door, which he found to be ajar. The patriarch has left the door open, so he really intends to teach me the way, he exclaimed in delight. He tiptoed towards, went in sideways through the door, and walked over to the patriarch's bed, where he saw the patriarch sleeping, curled up, facing the inside of the room. Not daring to disturb him, Sun Wukong knelt in front of the bed. Before long, the patriarch woke up, stretched out both his legs, and mumbled to himself. It's a pain, it's a pain, it's a pain. The way is very obscure. Don't make light of the gold in the cinnabar. To teach miraculous spells to any but the perfect man is to tire the voice and dry the tongue in vain. Sun Wukong said in reply, Master, your disciple has been kneeling here for a long time. When the patriarch heard that it was Sun Wukong who was speaking, he pulled some clothes on, sat up cross-legged, and shouted, Is that monkey? Why have you come into my room instead of sleeping out in front? Master, you told me publicly in front of the altar yesterday that your disciple was to come in here through the back gate at third watch, as you were going to teach me the way. That is why I made so bold as to come to pay my respects beside my master's bed. The patriarch was very pleased to hear this, said to himself, this wretch was indeed born of heaven and earth. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to understand my cryptic message. Sun Wukong said, there is no third pair of ears in this room. Your disciple is the only other person here. I hope, Master, that in your great mercy, you will teach me the way of immortality. If you do, I'll always be grateful to you. You are predestined, the patriarch said, so I shall be happy to tell you, since you understood my cryptic message. Come, over here. Listen carefully, while I teach you the miraculous way of immortality. Sun Wukong kowtowed with gratitude and knelt before the bed, listening with all his intention. The patriarch said, true spells, revealing secrets, and all-powerful, are the only sure way of protecting one's life. They all come from essence, vapor, spirit. Must be stored away securely, never divulged. Must never be divulged and be stored in the body. Then the way I teach you will flourish of itself. Many are the benefits of learning spells. They give protection from evil desires and make one pure. Make one pure with a dazzling radiance, like a bright moon shining on a cinnabar tower. The moon contains a jade rabbit, the sun a golden crow. The tortoise and the snake are always intertwined. Always intertwined. Then life is firm, and one can plant golden lotuses in fire. Grasp all 5 elements, turn them upside down, and when you are successful, you can become a Buddha or an immortal. The patriarch's explanation went to the root of things, and Sun Wukong's heart was filled with bliss as he committed the spells to memory. He bowed to the patriarch to express his deep gratitude and went out to the back door to look. He saw that there was a trace of white in the east, while the golden light of the moon was shining in the west. He went to the front door by the old path, pushed it open gently, and went in. He sat down where he had been sleeping earlier, shook his bedding, and said loudly, "It's dawn! It's dawn! Get up!" The others were all asleep, unaware of Sun Wukong's good fortune. At daybreak, he got up, muddled through the day, while secretly keeping what he had been told. In the afternoon and evening, he regulated his breathing. After 3 years had passed in this way, the patriarch once more sat on his lecturing throne and expounded the Dharma to the students. He recounted famous sayings and parables and discussed external phenomenon and external appearances. Without warning, he asked, Where is Sun Wukong? Sun Wukong went forward, knelt down, and replied, Your disciple is present. What way have you cultivated since arriving here? Your disciple is now fairly well conversant with the Dharma, Sun Wukong replied, and my source is getting gradually stronger. If you are conversant with the Dharma, and you know about the source, the patriarch replied, and if the spirit has already flowed into you, then you must be aware of the three disasters. Sun Wukong thought for a long time. Then he said, Patriarch, you're talking rubbish. I have often heard that the way is lofty and its power mighty, that it is eternal as heaven, that it can overcome fire and water and prevent all illnesses from arising. So how could there be three disasters? To this, the patriarch replied, This is not the ordinary way. It involves seizing the very creation of heaven and earth and encroaching on the hidden workings of the sun and moon. Once the elixir is made, devils and spirits cannot tolerate it. Although it will preserve the youthfulness of your face and prolong your life, in 500 years' time, heaven will strike you with a thunderbolt. You must be clear-sighted in nature and mind so that you can hide from it before it comes. If you succeed in avoiding it, you will live as long as heaven. And if you don't, it will kill you. Another 500 years later, heaven will burn you with fire. And this fire will be not heavenly fire or ordinary fire, rather hidden fire. It will burn you from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. Your 5 viscera will be reduced to ashes. Your 4 limbs will be destroyed. And 1,000 years of asceticism would have been so much wasted time. Yet, another 500 years later, a wind will blow at you. It will not be the north, south, east, or west wind, nor will it be a warm, fragrant wind from the northwest, nor will it be a kind of wind that blows among flowers, willows, pines, and bamboo. It will be what is called a monster wind. It will blow through the crown of your head down into your 6 entrails. It will go through the cinnabar field below your navel and penetrate your 9 orifices. Your flesh and your bones will be destroyed and your body will disintegrate. So you must avoid all 3 of these disasters. When Sun Wukong heard this, Sun Wukong's hair stood on end, and he kowtowed with these words. I implore you, my lord, to show pity and teach me how to avoid these 3 disasters. If you do, I will be grateful to you forever. That would be easy, the patriarch replied, but for the fact that you are different from other people, which means that I cannot. I have a head that faces the sky and feet standing on earth, said Sun Wukong. I have 9 orifices, 4 limbs, 5 viscera, and 6 entrails. How am I different from anybody else? Although you are quite like other people, your cheeks are too small. Now the monkey had a funny face with cheeks that carved inward with a sharp chin. Sun Wukong felt it was with his hand and replied with a laugh. Master, you didn't take everything into account. Although I'm a bit short of jaw, I've got more dewlap than other people to make up for it. Very well, the patriarch said. Which would you prefer to learn? The 36 heavenly transformations or the 72 earthly ones? Your disciple wants to get as much out of it as he can, so I'd like to learn the 72 earthly ones. If that is what you want, the patriarch replied. Here, and I'll teach you the spells. Thereupon he whispered into Sun Wukong's ear. Who knows what miraculous spells he taught him? The Monkey King was the sort of person who understands everything once he's told a tiny part. And he learned the spells on the spot. He practiced and trained until he mastered all 72 transformations. One day, the patriarch and all his disciples were enjoying the sunset outside the 3-star cave. The patriarch asked Sun Wukong, "Have you succeeded yet?" Sun Wukong replied, "Thanks to your infinite mercy, Master, your disciples' results have been perfect, and I can now rise on the clouds and fly." "Let me see you try a flight," the patriarch said. Sun Wukong used his skills to perform a series of somersaults that carried him 50 or 60 feet into the air, then walked around on the clouds for about as long as it takes to eat a meal. He covered about a mile altogether before landing in front of the patriarch, folding his arms across his chest and saying, "Master, that's flying and soaring in the clouds." The patriarch laughed. "That's not soaring on the clouds, it's just climbing up them. There's an old saying that an immortal visits the northern sea in the morning and Kangwu in the evening. But to take as long as you did just to go a mile doesn't count as climbing on the clouds." "How can it be possible to visit the northern sea in the morning and Kangwu in the evening?" Sun Wukong asked. "All cloud soarers start from the northern sea early in the morning, visit the eastern, western, and southern seas, and then come back to Kangwu. Kangwu is what the northern sea is called in the Ling language. When you go beyond all 4 seas in a single day, you can regard yourself a cloud soarer." "But that must be very difficult," Sun Wukong observed. "Where there's a will, there's a way," the patriarch replied. "Nothing but halves, Master," replied Sun Wukong with bows and kowtows. "I beg you in your great mercy to teach me the art of cloud soaring. I promise that I'll always be grateful." "Immortals take off with a stamp of their feet," said the patriarch, "but you do it differently. Just now, I saw you pull yourself up. Is that the way you do it? I'll show you how to do it your own way and teach you the somersault cloud. Sun Wukong bowed again, imploring him to do so, and the patriarch taught him the spell. For this kind of cloud, the patriarch said, you make the magic by clasping your hands in a special way. Recite the words of the spell. Clench your fist. Shake yourself with a jump. With one somersault, you can go 60,000 miles. When the others heard this, they exclaimed with a laugh, lucky old Sun Wukong, with magic like this, he could be a messenger delivering official letters and reports. He'd never go short of a meal. When it was dark, the patriarch and his pupils returned to the cave. That night, Sun Wukong moved his spirit, practiced the language, and mastered the cloud somersault. From then on, he was free from all restraint, and he enjoyed the delights of immortality, drifting around as he pleased. On a day when spring was giving way to summer, and all the students had been sitting under some pine trees listening to lectures for a long time, they said, Sun Wukong, in what life did you earn your present destiny? The other day, our teacher whispered to you how to do the transformations to avoid the 3 disasters. Can you do them all yet? It's true, brothers, said Sun Wukong with a grin. I can do them all. In the first place, it's because our master taught me. And in the second place, it's because I practiced them so hard, day and night. This would be a good time for you to give us a demonstration. At this suggestion, Sun Wukong braced his spirit to show off his skill. What's it to be, brothers? Tell me, what'd you like me to turn myself into? Turn into a pine tree, they all said. Sun Wukong clenched his fist, said the magic words, shook himself, and changed into a pine tree. It was truly green and misty throughout the 4 seasons, rising its upright beauty to the clouds, not in the least like a demon monkey. Every inch a tree that withstands frost and snow. When the students saw it, they clapped their hands and chuckled aloud, saying, good old monkey, good old monkey. They did not realize the noise they were making had disturbed the patriarch, who rushed out through the door, dragging his stick behind him. Who's making that row out here? He asked. The students hurriedly put themselves together, straightened their clothes, and went over him. Sun Wukong, who had now resumed his real appearance, said from the forest, Master, we were holding a discussion here, and there were no outsiders making a din. Yelling and shouting like that, the patriarch angrily soared. There's no way for those cultivating their conduct to behave. If you're cultivating your conduct, the subtle vapors escape when you open your mouth. When you wag your tongue, trouble starts. What was all that laughing and shouting about? Just now, Sun Wukong did a transformation for fun. We told him to turn himself into a pine tree, and he did. We all praised and applauded him, which is why we disturbed you with the noise, Master. We beg you to forgive us. The patriarch sent all of them away except for Sun Wukong, to whom he said, Here. Is that the way to use your spirit? To change into a pine tree? Is this a skill you should be showing off in front of people? If you saw somebody else doing that, wouldn't you ask him to teach you? If other people see you doing it, they're bound to ask you to teach them. And if you want to keep out of trouble, you'll have to do so. Otherwise, they may do you harm. And then your life will be in danger. Sun Wukong kowtowed and said, "Please forgive me, man, master." "I shan't punish you," the patriarch replied. "But you'll have to leave." Sun Wukong's eyes filled with tears. "Master, where am I to go?" "Go back to where you came from." Sun Wukong had a sudden awakening, and he said, "That's right. I came from the Water Curtain Cave on the Mountain of Flower and Fruit, in the country of Aloi, in the eastern continent of Superior Body." "Indeed. If you hurry back there," the patriarch replied, "you might be able to preserve your life. If you stay here forever, though, it'd be absolutely impossible to do so." Sun Wukong accepted his punishment. "Yes, master," he said. "I've been away from home for 30 years, and I do miss the old days, and my children and grandchildren. But when I remember that I haven't repaid you for your enormous generosity to me, I can't bring myself to go yet." "What kind of kindness would you be doing me if you stayed? I'll be happy enough if you keep me out of any disasters you cause." Well, seeing that there's nothing else for it, Sun Wukong bowed and took his leave, saying goodbye to all the other students. "Now that you're going," the patriarch said, "I'm sure that your life will not be a good one. Whatever disasters you cause and crimes you commit, I forbid you under any circumstances to call yourself my disciple. If you as much so hint at it was, I'll know. And I'll tear off your monkey skin, chop off your bones, and banish your soul to the ninth dimension. I ain't fucking with you. I won't let you out for 10,000 aeons." "I promise never to give away a single letter of your name," said Sun Wukong. "I'll just say I taught myself." Sun Wukong took his leave and went away, making the spells by clasping his fist. He jumped head over heels, summoned a somersault cloud, and went back to the eastern continent. Within 2 hours, he saw the Water Curtain Cave on the Mountain of Flowers Fruit. The handsome Monkey King was so pleased. He said to himself, "When I left here, my mortal flesh and bones were heavy. But now I have their way. My body's light. No one in the world has real determination. To the firm will, the hidden becomes clear. When I last crossed the seas, the waves got in my way. But now on my return, the journey's easy." Parting words still echo in my ear. When will I see the Eastern Ocean again? Sun Wukong put away his cloud and headed straight to the Mountain of Flower and Fruit. As he followed the path, there he heard the call of cranes and the cries of apes. The cranes' calls echoed beyond the Milky Way, and the apes' cries were pathetically sad. Sun Wukong shouted, "Children, I'm back." Big monkeys and little monkeys came bounding into their thousands and tens of thousands from caves in the cliffs and from the grass and flowers and down from the trees. They all crowded around the handsome Monkey King, kowtowed, and said, "Your Majesty, you're a cool one. How could you stay away for so long, abandoning us all here? We've been so desperate for you to come back. A demon has been mistreating us terribly. He's occupied our water curtain cave, and we've been fighting for our lives with him. Recently, he's been stealing our things and carrying off many of our youngsters. We've had to stay awake all night to guard our families. Thank goodness you've come back. Another year without you, Your Majesty, and every one of us would be under his control, cave and all." What? Sun Wukong was furious. "Who is this demon? What an outrage! Tell me everything about him. Then I'll go and give him what's coming to him." The monkey host kowtowed again and said, "Your Majesty, that wretch calls himself the Demon King of Confusion. He lives north of here." "How far away is his lair?" Sun Wukong asked. He comes and goes in cloud, mist, with wind and rain, or thunder or lightning. We don't know how far it is. "If that's how it is," Sun Wukong replied, "don't worry about it. Just keep yourselves amused while I go find him." The splendid Monkey King jumped up into the air, and as he somersaulted towards the north, he saw a high, precipitous mountain. It was a fine sight. Perpendicular peaks jutting straight up, deep sunk, winding streams, perpendicular peaks jutting straight up, pierced the sky. The deep sunk, winding streams lead to the underworld. On pairs of cliffs, the plants compete in strangeness. Elsewhere, pine vies in greenness with bamboo. To the left are docile dragons. To the right are tame tigers. Iron oxen plowing are a common sight. Golden coins are always sown as seeds. Hidden birds sing beautifully. Red phoenixes stand in the sun, racing over stones. The clear waves twist and bend in a vicious torrent. Many are the famous mountains in the world, and many the flowers that bloom and wither on them. But this scenery is eternal, unchanging through the 4 seasons. It is truly the mountain from which the 3 worlds sprang, the cave in the belly of the water that nourishes the 5 elements. As the handsome Monkey King stood gazing in silence at his view, he heard voices. When he went down the mountainside to look, he found the cave in the belly of the water facing the cliff. Several minor demons were dancing around in the front of the cave doors, and they ran his way as soon as they saw Sun Wukong. "Wait a moment," Sun Wukong said. "I want you to take a message from me. I'm the king of the Water Curtain Cave and the mountain of the flower and fruit that lies due south of here. I've come to find that demon of confusion of yours, or whatever the hell he's called, the one who's been mistreating my children and grandchildren. I need to talk to his punk ass." The minor demons scuttled into the cave and reported, "A disaster, Your Majesty." "What do you mean, a disaster?" the Demon King asked. "There's a monkey outside the cave," the minor demons reported, Well, he says that he's the king of the water curtain cave on the mountain of flower and fruit. He says you're a punk, and that you've been bullying his children and grandchildren, and he comes specifically to find you and have it out with you. The Demon King laughed. Those monkey devils are always going on about a king of theirs who renounced the world to cultivate his conduct. I guess that must be the one they're talking about. You see how he's dressed, like what kind of weapons he's carrying? He ain't got no weapons, he's barehanded, and he's wearing a red gown belted with a yellow silk sash and a pair of black boots. He ain't dressed like a monk or a layman or an immortal. He's barehanded and empty-fisted, and he's standing outside the door yelling. Bring me my armor and weapons, said the Demon King when he heard this. The minor demons produced them at once, and when he had donned his armor, he went out the door with all the demons, his sword in hand. Who's this king of the water curtain cave? He roared. Sun Wukong took a quick look at him and saw that on his head he wore a dark golden helmet glistening in the sun. On his body he wore a black silk gown flapping in the breeze. Below that he wore black metal armor girt with a leather belt. On his feet he wore patterned boots as splendid as a field marshal's. His waist was 10 feet round, and his height 30 cubits. In his hand he held a sword with a gleaming point and edge. He called himself the Demon King of Confusion. His appearance was truly dazzling. Insolent demon, shouted the Monkey King. Your eyes may be big, but you can't see who I am. The Demon King laughed at him. You don't even stand 4 feet from the ground, and you're still in your 20s, and you've got no weapon in your hand. What sort of mad courage makes you challenge me to a fight? You insolent demon, retorted Sun Wukong. How blind you are. You may think I'm small, but I can grow easily enough. You may think I'm unarmed, but I could pull the moon down from the sky with my 2 hands. Don't worry. Old Sun Wukong will sock you one. Sun Wukong gave a jump, leapt into the air, taking a swing at his face. The Demon King put out his hands to stop him and said, Look how big I am, you dwarf. If you use your fists, I'll use my swords. I'd only be making myself look ridiculous if I killed you with a sword. Let me put my sword down. Then I'll give you a little taste of my boxing. Well said, exclaimed Sun Wukong. I take back what I said about you being a punk. You said that like a real man. Come on then. The Demon King dropped his guard to throw a punch. Sun Wukong rushed in towards him, punching and kicking. When he spread out his hand, it was enormous. And when he clenched his fist, it was very hard. Sun Wukong hit the Demon King in the ribs, kicked his backside, smashed several of his joints. The Demon King seized his steel sword that was as big as a plank and swung it at Sun Wukong. Going back on his word, he is a punk. Sun Wukong dodged his blow, and the sword only split the air. Seeing how ugly the Demon King had turned, Sun Wukong used his magic art of getting extra bodies. pulling out one of his hairs, popped it in his mouth, chewed it up, and blew it into the air, shouting, "Change!" It turned into 200 or 300 little monkeys who all crowded around him. Sun Wukong now had an immortal body, and there was no magic transformation of which he was not capable of. Since he had followed the way, he could change each of his 84,000 hairs, that's 84,000 hairs on his body, into anything he wanted. The little monkeys were too quick and nimble for sword and spear. Look at them, leaping forward, jumping backwards, rushing up and surrounding the Demon King, grabbing him, seizing him, poking him in the backside, pulling at his feet, punching him, kicking him, tearing his hair out, scratching at his eyes, twisting his nose, all picking him up together, throwing him into the ground. They went on until they had beaten him into a pile of pulp. Sun Wukong snatched his sword from him, told the little monkeys to get out the way, and brought it down on the crown of his head, splitting it into two. Then, he led his forces charging into the cave, where he exterminated all the demons, big and small. Jig is up. He shook his hair and put it back on his body. The monkeys who did not go back on his body were the little monkeys the Demon King had carried off from the Water Curtain Cave. Sun Wukong asked him how they had got there. There were 30 or 40 of them, and they replied with tears in their eyes, "It was after your majesty went off to become an immortal. He's been fighting with us for the last 2 years. He brought us all here by force. All the things here, the stone bowls and plates, were stolen from our cave by that beast. If it's our stuff, take it all out," said Sun Wukong. They set fire to the cave in the belly of the water and burned it to a cinder. "Come back with me," he ordered the monkeys. "Your Majesty," they replied, when we came here, all we could hear was wind howling in our ears as it blew us here. We don't know the way. How are we ever going to get back?" "There's nothing to that spell he used," said Sun Wukong. "I can do it too. As now I only have to know the smallest bit about something to understand it completely. Look, now shut your eyes and don't worry." Splendid Monkey King. He recited a spell and took them riding on a hurricane, then brought the cloud down to the ground. "Open your eyes and look, kids," he shouted. As soon as the monkeys' feet touched the ground, they recognized their home. In their delight, they all ran along the familiar paths to the cave, and the monkeys who had stayed in the cave all crowded in as well. They divided themselves into age groups and bowed in homage to the Monkey King. Wine and food was laid out to celebrate, and they asked him how he had defeated the Demon King and saved their children. When Sun Wukong had told them the whole story, the monkeys were full of admiration. "Where did you learn such arts, Your Majesty?" they asked insistently. Well, when I left here," Sun Wukong replied, "I followed the waves and the currents and drifted across the Eastern Ocean to the southern Jambu continent. Here I taught myself to take human form and to wear these clothes and boots. I swaggered around for 8 or 9 years. I never found the way, so I sailed across the Western Ocean to the western continent of Cattle Gift. After long inquiries, I was lucky enough to meet a venerable immortal who taught me the true result, which makes me as immortal as heaven, and the great Dharma gate to eternal youth. The monkeys all congratulated him and explained that his like could not be found in a billion years. Sun Wukong laughed and said, "Children, we should congratulate ourselves on having a surname. What is your Majesty's surname?" The monkey mask asked. "My surname is now Sun, and my Buddhist name is Wukong." The monkeys all clapped their hands with joy and said, "Your Majesty is Old Sun, and we are Second Son, Third Son, Fin Sin, Little Sun, a family of sons, a nation of sons, a den of sons." They all offered Old Sun their respects, with big plates, small bowls of coconut toddy, great wine, magic flowers, and magic fruit. The whole household was happy. My word. By uniting themselves with a single surname, they are waiting to be transferred to the Register of Immortals. If you don't know how this ended and want to know about the rest of their lives, then listen to the explanation in the next installment. Take care, y'all. Till next time.